My name is Teresa Okokin. I have been working at the International Institute of New England for the last 3 years. I just had my 3-year anniversary, actually, and I'm the gift processor. I process the donations and I manage our donor database. I want to thank all of you for joining us on this very important day. Usually we would be doing this gathering in person, but it's great to be together online here with you all. World Refugee Day is an annual event where the international community comes together to honor the challenges that refugees face worldwide, as well as honoring their contributions. At IINE, the International Institute of New England, we have been welcoming and supporting refugees and immigrants for over 100 years, which is really exciting. We have offices in the greater Boston area, in Lowell, and also in Manchester, New Hampshire. And I know that many of my colleagues and their families are tuning in from their homes this evening. I saw some of y'all's names in the Q&A, and we also have some of our current and former clients who are signing in and joining us this evening. So welcome to all of you, in addition to a couple of board members. Tonight's program is going to take place in 2 parts. First, we're going to share 3 suitcase stories with you. And then there's going to be a live conversation with staff from each of our sites where you can hear more about how IINE is supporting people during this unique period that we're all globally experiencing. For those of you who are new to Suitcase Stories, I think there was at least one person in the Q&A who let us know that this was her first time with Suitcase Stories. Suitcase Stories is a program that was launched by the International Institute of New England in 2017 with the goal of raising the profile of refugee and immigrant voices and helping to bring communities together. Tonight, we picked one story from each of our last 3 years to share with you. Like with most of the people who have performed on Suitcase Stories, this is the first time that each of these 3 storytellers told their story on stage. Many of them have told their stories again since then, but you are hearing their very first time telling the story. You're first going to hear from Titi Aye, who is from Burma. Then you're going to hear from Zainab Abdu, who's from Syria. And finally, you're going to hear from Alexis Kubana, who's from Rwanda. I have had the privilege of hearing them each time, I heard each of them their first time when they performed, and I'm really excited to listen to it again because I always pick up on something new. A quick piece of business, please note that we have staff monitoring the question and answer section. It won't always be me monitoring it, but we have the person who you can see on the screen as IINE2 is one of our behind the scenes folks who's monitoring that. So please feel free to post a question or a comment if you'd like to ask anything throughout the show, and we'll either respond in writing right away, or we'll respond throughout the conversation or later on in this evening. That's enough from me. So we're going to move on and get into the exciting actual show. So the first part of the show, you're going to be getting a message from our board member, Bopa Malone.
My name is Bopa Malone. When my family and I fled Cambodia from the brutal violence of the Khmer Rouge regime to come to the U.S., it was organizations like the International Institute of New England that helped me and my family get on our feet. Thanks to their mentorship and their kindness, I was able to overcome my obstacles and fears to be where I am today. I'm so honored to be able to sit on the board to serve others and to be able to give back. I want to thank the IINE for the critical work that it does to continue to create opportunities for refugees. And I want to thank them as well for putting on this program tonight. I'm looking forward to hearing stories from Titi, Kubana, and Zainab, because I think, by sharing these wonderful stories, it not only will help us to heal, but it will help others to learn and all of us to understand each other. So I want to thank them in advance for sharing this story, and I want to thank all of you again for taking the time to join us and for supporting the work of IINE. Thank you.
I grew up in Burma, but I am not citizen of Burma. Because I moved to Thailand when I was 17 years, and that time I didn't make a citizenship. My country culture, the man or the leader and house, and then the woman or the rich family. But my family was not like that. My parents they are equal because they work in their own business. Their own business is like a cafe shop. It's kind of like a Dunkin' Donut in the USA, but small business. And when I 10 years old, my father was suddenly passed away. At the time, my mom, she is really hard to take care of the 5 children because I have 5 siblings. In my country, we had, for the education, we had to pay kindergarten to the high school, we had to pay every single year. But I can't help at the time because I was 10 years. And my mom, she was strong. She sent to the 5 children to the high school finish. After I finished the high school, and I became a man of the house. I get a looking job, and I get a help supporting to my 3 younger siblings. But very hard to look in the job in my country because they have a lot of hard job, and then for the men only mostly because they carry the heavy stone and then they pay little money. I can work it like that too because look at me, I am a little one, right? So how I gonna do with that job? And one day my aunt, she came from the Thailand because she came to visit her mom, and she asked me, Titi, do you want to go to work in the Thailand? I say yes. And the time I follow with her, and then she put me to the rice shop, and I work in there. And I work in there like 10 years in Thailand, and then the borderline was a lot of war. So very dangerous to go back to my country. And that time I got thinking about something, what should I do? At the time I go to the registration in the IINE 2005. And at that time they said, your case is on hold. I say, what mean on hold? And then they said, your name, the person or your name, she already in the USA. Well, I surprised because, and then I say, it's really, no, me, I am Titi here. So they said, no, the person not there. And then they said, can I say something? The woman said, yes. And I say, because my country, we don't have a family name. So who born the day, like a Friday, Monday, Tuesday, whatever day. So they make it their name by day. So a lot of Titi, thousands of Titi from my country. So, and then they said, okay, never mind. So we gotta check it out your fingerprints, and then you will be okay. But how long I get away? They said, you get away a couple months, maybe a year, 1 year in the refugee camp. I've been in the refugee camp and then 1 year. So I had to find work to do something. I working for the woman abuse because in the refugee camp, mostly their camp was nobody cannot go out to work, and then they have a lot of stress, they have a lot of family problem, domestic, a lot of the problem. And I have the woman in the husband, between husband and wife, because I would like to see everyone like my family with the equal, and they work together and they understand each other. After 2 years, so my case was clear, and then that's time they started the process to go to the USA. And I have been in the USA, I arrived 2010. And then first time I arrived, I can't speak at all. And I can't read it at all. At the time, I go to take ESL class in the International Institute, and I taking an ESL class. After 2 months, I can speak a little bit, and then International Institute asked me help translate to my Burmese people. Because a lot of Burmese people come from my country, they cannot speak at all, they don't understand English. Because my country education was too low, and then they had to pay for the education. Some people, they don't have money to go to the education. And I helped them. And then I applied another job in the Haverhay, they call Southwest Company. This is like a suit for the men they work in. The first time I go to apply the job, I don't know how to go there. I go by bus. I doesn't know English. I don't know the bus, what bus is going there. I go the bus, I ask the bus was, but in the bus, nobody in the bus, only me. I'm scared because I can't speak, you know, and I don't know where they're going because I don't know the way. He says, oh, where are you going? I say, I write on the paper where I go, and then I say, I go there. Oh, there, the bus is there. I change the 2 or 3 bus, nobody in the bus. Only me. It's really difficult to go there, but I write there, I get a job there. It's really lucky for me. I get a job there. And the first job was a pinner. They call it a pinner. A pinner means like the plug, they get a matching, and then I do in that job like a 2 year. After 2 years, my company, the boss, then he called me. He says, Didi, can you come in my office, please? I said, yes. And I don't know what reason they call me, but I scared too. because I work in my job, it's a boss, it's a big boss. And I scared too. I say yes, but I don't want to be complain about nothing. I didn't ask him nothing yet. And then he say, and please close the door and have a seat. Okay. And I close the door and I say, do you know what I get to say today? And then do you know what reason you coming here? I say, no. He said, you are a good employee, you are a good attendant, so you have good English a little bit right now. So we gotta be giving you a promotion. Yes, but I don't know what I gotta say. I gotta say only yes. And then they say, okay, you get a training for that promotion supervisor or in the cutting room, and then they say get a training there like a 6 months. After that, you gotta be your promotion. And okay, I trained there the 6 months, but I scared too because how I get a relationship with the employee, because a lot of our employees were they born American, they are immigrant, they are refugee, and then I am the second, just 2 years I work in there, and then I became a promotion. I'm really nervous that time, but I try the best I can, and I'm proud of myself. Maybe I lucky too. I am 6 or 7 years, but I think everybody can understand what I speak, but not perfect, but I think everybody can understand. Now, this is my country, because I applied as a citizen this year. Maybe I will get a citizen. Because this is because of my country, and then now I get my own house. I bought in my own house just January. So I'm happy for my future. I'm happy for internet. I gotta say thank you for International Institute help me a lot for in my life. So I'm happy with this. Thank you.
TTIA is one of more than 15,000 refugees who have been resettled by IINE to Greater Boston, Lowell, Massachusetts, and southern New Hampshire. Today, nearly 71 million people are forcibly displaced by war and civil unrest. That's 1 out of every 108 people. In 2019, IINE served 2,519 people from 103 countries. Of the refugees resettled over the past 2 years, most have come from Afghanistan, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Iraq, Myanmar, and Syria. At IINE, we are honored with the job of meeting newly arriving refugees at the airport and then supporting them in establishing roots in New England.
It was big house and nice house, and I had big family, my uncles, my parents, my auntie. It was nice first years I born there. After that, when my sister were born, my father rent small house for us, just me and my sister was child. It just was one room and just that like that. But it was enough because it was child. And when my another brother were born, we rent big houses. It was big 3-bedroom and big house. It was in second floor. It was so nice. We get good neighbor there. And finally, when my father saved some money, it's enough for buying house. We bought a new house. It was so nice. It was in first floor. We get good neighbor there. And that house, we say it will be our future and new life, because after 14 years renting houses, it will be our house. And my father start buying new furniture, decorate houses, and because I like blue color, my father said, okay, I will decorate all the houses blue. The shelf and my bedroom and the color, the plane, everything. And we lived there maybe a couple months. And one day we was watching news and we saw in Syria, not in Aleppo, in different place, it's named Dara. The children wrote in the wall, we don't want the president, we want freedom. And when the police saw that, they took the children and they hurt the children. And like, for example, they cut the fingers. And I was so afraid because I just was 14 at that time. And I think, why that happening for the child? And when the parents seeing that, they wanting outside and the protesting in the street. We don't want the president. We want freedom. The people want freedom because the president not help the poor people, like they didn't help a lot for a lot of things. We had in house, was very afraid, and we get neighbor there. It was the second floor. She was pregnant, and when she born, she had child. We take care for the child every day when she went outside for the shopping and everything. And suddenly the people was afraid. Like part liking president, the different part don't like president. They shoot together. They shoot each other. But we couldn't go outside and rent in house in different place because we spent all our money for buying house and decorate and buy furnitures. And the different things, I was afraid. I was studying in the school. It was far away in my house. It was just girls' school, and we was just taking class. Suddenly, the police coming in the class, and they took the teachers because they talking about the president. And I was so afraid, and I was crying, and I see all the children crying, and we just sit under the table. I called my father, please come talk me. I am so afraid. The war, it's coming worse in Aleppo, and the Syria, like part like don't like president, part like president, they start to bomb each other. We are afraid, but what we can do, we cannot leave. But one day I was studying for my final exam, and my father went outside to bought like some bread and fruit for us, and just we heard very noise sound, and all my room is broken, and I say, what is going on? And I have five brothers, and we all going in my mother in kitchen, we hug him, and we don't know where my father to. And we heard a lot of people just coming in my house because it was first floor, and the bomb it hit the first floor and floor. And we just saw the people coming, the child crying, and my neighbor, she just come in my home, she say, I lost my son. He died. And we are afraid, we just had my mom, and we didn't see anything because it was smoking, and we don't know where my father. We just asked, we want my father. And my father was walking, and some people told him, what are you doing here? The bomb, it hit your house. And he left everything, he ran in house. And when we saw my father, we hugged him. We was crying, but we was happy too because my father it's safe. And it take maybe 3 minutes. My father, we have to leave. He say no bag, no nothing, no bag, no clothes, no nothing. Just we have to leave. And at that time, I look around. I didn't see anything blue. All my blue, the smoking, it cover everything. My shelf, it's broken. And I was so scary and so sad because we lost our future, our home. And that time, it was last time I saw my house. And my father said, okay, run. Don't look back. If me and your mother we shoot or falling down, don't look for us. Just going in your grandmother's house. Maybe we walk 1 hour because it was far from my house, and the bombing coming around us, and the shoot going, we don't know from where. But finally, we went to my grandmother's house. We left in village, my grandmother's house in village. We lived there, 8 family in one house just. Three bedroom and 8 family. Each family have 5, 6 children. It was so hard too. And we lived there maybe 1 year, and after that my father said, okay, we want to leave Syria because no school, no money, nothing. Because my father lost her job too. And we decided to leave Syria, and we went to Turkey. We lived there 3 years, and finally we came in United States. And the life is still hard, but it's okay. And we live now in Lowell, a new house, big house, but it's not the blue.
Today, Zainab Abdo is a student at the Middlesex Community College in Lowell, studying computer science with the dream of becoming a programmer. IINE welcomes and assists over 2,500 refugees and immigrants annually. Programs include refugee resettlement, English classes, employment and skills training, and legal assistance. Since the COVID-19 pandemic began in the United States, IINE has provided emergency support to many of our refugee and immigrant clients. For example, by the end of May, we completed 1,026 wellness checks and provided 179 households with emergency food and rent assistance. We have also been able to deliver our English and skills training classes online. Our Suitcase Stories programming for businesses, schools, and other community partners has also transitioned online. We offer virtual showcases and storytelling workshops, as well as a weekly online conversation with different Suitcase storytellers. To learn more, go to suitcasestories.org. Since 2017, more than 200 people from elementary school students to senior citizens have shared a personal story of refugee and immigrant life. If you are interested in sharing yours, contact IINE.
I'm in a hospital in Kampala, Uganda. It's a big public hospital with 6 floors. It's where all poor people go who can't afford health care. There are a lot of patients in the hospital. Some are sharing beds. Some are sleeping down on the floor. And I'm just only 13 years on the 4th floor, seated next to my mom, who is dying because of being tortured by rebels in the Democratic Republic of Congo. She can't talk, she can't communicate, and that's why doctors are coming to me, asking me how she's feeling. I can't say anything. I'm nodding my head, saying yes, yes, because I don't know how to speak English. I'm from a French country speaking. I don't know, I'm confused, but I'm trying to communicate by signs. 2 months later, I'm standing at the graveyard with my 3 young siblings. One is 6 years, another one is 7, another one is 9. They are crying. They used to become happy, but we are both crying with other 3 people, plus a priest singing and saying bye to our mom. I'm starting realizing that I'm going to be responsible when I'm still young. Later on, we get lucky. People help us to take us to schools, because in Uganda, even if it is elementary school or high school, you need to pay tuition, school fees to study. However, we remain with another challenge of looking for what to eat and where to sleep and paying rent. I remember me and my young siblings, when we are not at school or after school, we used to go and carry bricks for construction company to make sure that they give us at least $1 a day to survive, pay rent, and also save money for eating. Later on, I joined college, but I had to drop out after 2 years because I couldn't afford to pay tuition and take care of my young siblings. I decided to leave it and also make sure that my young siblings can also complete high school. Therefore, they are in Uganda. There are refugees who are living in the city and refugees who live in the refugee camps. So I got and I was like, how can I help newcomers and refugees who are coming in Uganda? I decided to volunteer with an organization that was helping refugees to come. And I started as a computer trainer, but also doing research in the refugee camp. I remember one day I was traveling to the refugee camp. It is around 6 hours driving from the city to the western part of Uganda. It is at night, I started seeing grass-thatched house, fire on the backyard, people are cooking outside, tents. The following morning, I see a lot of people, ladies, young kids. I asked them, what are you doing and where are you going? And they are telling me that the only activity they are doing is farming so that they can get what to eat and get few money to survive. But I immediately realized that there is a problem of communication, be able to speak English with the agencies that are helping them. I gather a few group of youth and I tell them, you know what, I can share with you the little English I speak and you can be able also to teach others. They were good enough and they really helped me and understood me. So I kept on traveling there to train them. And one time around, we formed a group called Tomorrow Youth. Under the tree, I see a lady carrying a baby, and she's trying to write, how are you, and her name on the blackboard. After the class, I approached her and asked her, because her baby was crying, I was like, why would you mind to come and learn yet your kid is crying? Don't you have someone take care of the kid? She tells me, my son, I'm here because this language is important to me, and I can be able to communicate to the doctors, and I can also be able to communicate to the agents and also to the people who are looking after us. Automatically it reminds me when my mom passed away, and they could ask me how is she, but I couldn't respond. Therefore, I know that I'm making a good decision, at least for people to learn the language. Later on, during the work I was doing in the city, one of my students came and telling me, teacher, we saw your name on the list of the people who are going to be resettled. I was like, come on, that's not possible. 2 years later, I'm standing at the Logan airport with my young siblings. We are happy, we are smiling, and we are lucky we can communicate with the people from IINE. And therefore, I take it as an opportunity and a good step to communicate and also to be able to express myself. And asking me, what is your plan, what are you going to do? I was like, I would really wish to work with you and continue helping my fellow refugees and newcomers and also immigrants at large. 2.5 years later, I'm standing in Rivia in front of a class, a job training class, whereby we help refugees and immigrants to get skills in customer service, to prepare for interview questions, resume writing, so that they can get and be placed in a meaningful job in the hospitality industry. We are practicing interview questions, and this Haitian lady, she's telling me, teacher, I can't manage to be able to respond to the interviews. I'm nervous, I don't know whether I can do it. I was like, you know what, and this always I tell my students, if I can make it within 3 or 2.5 years when I'm here in America and I can be able to stand in front of you and teach you, you can also make it and you can be able to go on an interview and pass it. A day after the graduation, I take all the students plus her on a job hiring event, and she's nervous, she can't talk, and she's already showing that it is not possible. And I come to her and I said, you know what, be you, and I'm sure I'm going to make it. She was like, yes, I need to make it, my teacher, because I have kids that I need to help and get good benefit and also make sure they also go to college. She goes to the interview. Later on, she comes, she's emotional. She's saying, wow, teacher, I made it. And now my kids can go to college. It automatically reminds me how it is not easy to raise children like I raised my young brothers. However, I'm happy, and we are all happy that she can get a job of $22 per hour with full benefit, and also with her kids having an opportunity to go to college. I'm lucky enough to be working with the IINE, continue helping newcomers, refugees, and immigrants, and also continuing making a positive impact in my community and achieving my goals for the future to come. Thank you.
And thank you, Cubana. I know that Cubana is here with us in the audience today, and Cubana, I have to say, you're just a really great person, and I really love working with you. Cubana is still working with us at IINE, and he's just like a great dude, and he's just sort of the strong, silent type. And yeah, in staff meetings when Cubana speaks, I'm like, this is definitely a time to listen. You know that something important is happening if Cubana is gonna speak. And a little bit of follow-up on the rest of the stories that you heard. Zainab, who is our second storyteller, told that story after only having 18 months of speaking English. That was back in 2018. That's just like phenomenal to me that she could have that level of mastery over this complicated and confusing language after just 18 months. So congratulations to Zainab, and I'm really happy to hear how you're progressing with your education, and that's fantastic. And I hope one day you paint all of the walls in your home blue to remember the home that you grew up in and what it was like before the smoke covered it. And then TT, something that I noticed in TT's story for the first time today was that she talked about day names. I'm not sure if I've ever picked up on that before. Day names are something that is traditional as well in my mom's side of the family from Ghana. I don't have a day name because my father is from Nigeria and his side of the family didn't do them, but I love hearing that in TT's family as well. TT first told that story in 2017, and she is now a citizen and continues to be a delightful and wonderful person. So I'm now going to bring in Cheryl Hamilton, and Cheryl is the director of Suitcase Stories, and she is going to be joining us to interview 3 of our colleagues from IINE about the work that they do supporting refugees and immigrants.
I also loved hearing those stories as well. I appreciate you. I'm going to actually invite my 3 colleagues.
All right, I'll see y'all later.
And we'll talk to you soon. Hi, everybody. How are you doing?
Good, thank you.
Nice to see all you again. It's been a while from our staff. We've been all working from home since March, as many people in the audience have, I'm imagining as well. And those of you who have been on the front lines, thank you for whether you're working at grocery stores or in the healthcare system or in transportation. We know you're putting yourselves at the greatest risk, and we just appreciate and we think about you often. These are also many of our clients as well. I'm joined here by Elsie Cipriani. She's our managing director from Manchester. Also Yusuf Abdi, our employment specialist in Lowell. And finally, Sophie Suter out of our Boston office, who is our manager of our unaccompanied children's program. And you're gonna hear more about each of those, but I'm actually gonna begin with you, Elsie. First of all, tell us a little bit about your background and why you do this work.
Thank you, Cheryl. And hi, everyone. I'm really happy to be here, especially this day, honoring refugees. It's very, very nice to be part of this group today. So thank you very much for having me. Who I am? I'm an immigrant from Colombia. I came to the US in 2006, so almost 14 years. And since then, I have been involved in many different type of work. But finally, I got an opportunity with IINE doing what I love, which is working and supporting refugees and immigrants like me. Why do I do this work? As I said, because it's part of who I am as a professional and as a human being. And IINE has given me a great space to be able to support others that are going through the same process that I already went through.
So tell us some of the activities that you're leading up in the Manchester area, and also how this has changed during the COVID period. We heard some of that in the voiceover, but tell us more.
Yeah. So this has been, as everyone knows, a very challenging time for everyone. So we have been adapting. The first one was really really difficult process, trying to see how we were able to transition everything that we were doing in the office remotely, reaching out to clients, making sure that all of our families and individuals were okay, and trying to identify the main needs of our program participants. So I was amazed how quickly our team became the best coaches. Our ESL instructors, our case managers, our program managers just transition from the day-to-day of providing the regular case management to start coaching clients and how to do a video call with family and friends, how to open an email account to be able to receive emails from us and from other people, how to pay their accounts online. We work with many individuals that were used to do everything in person. So that was a really hard transition for them to get familiar with digital tools. So I think that our team has done a great job doing that. And I'm very proud of the work that the Manchester office has been able to do during this time and to support our families and individuals.
Yeah, and I know that's the same in Lowell and in Boston, Greater Boston. And one of the things we've noticed is actually it's even enhanced our own teamwork because we're having so many virtual meetings across all 3 sites to share these lessons. And so I think there's going to be some, as hard as this is, some really great learning that's coming out of this time. That said, we know that immigrants and refugees are being disproportionately affected. In fact, the first people I heard of who had actually been infected by COVID were some of our clients. That's the same in Manchester. What has the conversation been like, or how are we supporting or hearing from people?
Yeah, I think that has been also one of the hardest part is learning that some of our families have been directly affected by COVID-19. They got infected by this virus. A month ago, we had 3 families at the same time that they contracted the virus. So it's already hard for anyone to have the virus, but particularly for a refugee and immigrant, there is so much level of isolation when you are a refugee and immigrant for the first phase in your country, and adding the challenge of having the virus, not being able to go outside and communicate with others. And I think for our team was also challenging because clients call us when they have any challenge. We are very often the first person that they call, our case manager. So not being able to just run and go to their house and say, how can I help you? Because we can't go. They have the virus and we have to be safe. So I think that has been hard from both parts, but we have been able to do a lot of video calls. There was a particular situation in which we had a client in the hospital for a long time, for a couple of weeks. And we were able to communicate with the nurses, and we started sending messages between the nurses and the family, kind of being the bridge. Our client only speaks Swahili. So one of our staff members was translating, bringing the messages to the family every day. And that really helped the family to make sure that that was okay, and be in contact with that, even though they were not able to go to the hospital to see him, at least to send him pictures. And the nurses were showing the pictures of the family in their phone to that. So we have been doing that, but it's hard, but it's not the same. But I think it's the best that we can do right now under the current circumstances.
Absolutely. I mean, I know we've been dropping off supplies and at people's doorstep. I know one of our families in Lowell, she was describing how after her family was affected, but actually was fortunately able, not a severe case, she found that they were suddenly the center of education. They were calling all these families because they were like, what is it? How do I deal with this? What is it like? And so it's taken a community. So I want to turn to Yusuf. Yusuf, we know, unfortunately, that many clients have also lost their jobs. You have been an employment case specialist for years. First of all, can you tell us a little bit about your background? And I know you have a unique story about how COVID-19 and our remote working impacted you.
Thank you, Cheryl, and thanks everybody. It was pleasant to be part of the World Refugee Day. It's a good memory to me, and it's very special to me. I came through the program as a refugee from Somalia, and I take it as an obligation to serve. And being part of a life building, giving the clients, bringing the clients their dignity through employment, seeing them part of the how they contribute to the local economic, it's a very pleasant. COVID-19 affected how we work, how we serve to our clients. Everything has to be through remotely, and it's a very challenging technology, especially. Some of our clients are being challenged by the technology, but they are swiftly adjusting. Yeah.
Can you tell people, first of all, where you were, though? We almost didn't get you back.
Yes. After 16 and a half years, almost 17 years, I traveled to meet with my mother. I traveled, and my young sibling, I traveled to Uganda to accompany my mom and see my young siblings after 16 or 17 years, almost 17 years. It's a very rewarding travel. Also, on my way back, so there was almost, I was on the edge of the Uganda lockdown. The flights prior me was canceled. I was very lucky, me and my mom, to travel back to home. And my wife, she was very worried because she and the 2 little ones are with her, and they didn't know what to do. So it was a very scary moment, but we were very lucky to arrive back home.
Yeah, well, the international flights before they were ended. And your mom is living with you now and your children. How is it going at home?
It's very rewarding, and being with mom after so long, it's a pleasure. And my kids are very happy seeing their grandmother, being with them, and especially at this time of moment as a working parent, and my wife also working. So she came the right time to support, not only support, but
Yeah,
right.
that's I hadn't thought about that, Yusuf. That's kind of great. I know that we can. I want to move to Sophie in a moment, but if anybody's in the audience that knows of job leads, this is the time to reach out to any of our offices. You can email us at info@iine.org. I often talk about how we overlook our communities, I mean, our friends and our families, like just thinking about all the connections they have, and giving us those leads on jobs are so important right now. Also, Yusuf and I have a unique connection. I actually began my career working with the Somali migration to my hometown of Lewiston, Auburn, and he knows many of the people I know, and we talk about the stories. So were it not for Somalis moving into my hometown, I wouldn't be in this work 20 years later. So, but Sophie, tell us how you came to this work.
So I was also an immigrant myself. When I was 10 years old, I came to the United States. So I've always been interested in other cultures and also just newcomers and how people experience coming newly to the United States. And I was lucky enough to study abroad in Mexico. And after that, lucky to find this job that maintained the connection for me. So the program that I work in is unique in that we only have children as clients. We serve babies to age 18. So one of the things that's been different is because we have so many kids that are always on the phone, a lot of teenagers, they've been actually able to help some of their parents in navigating things like video calls, texting, and sending things via links. So in that way, they've been an asset to be able to work with the kids and the parents through the kids. So yeah, we continue to do the work. More recently, has slowed down a little bit as there's been fewer kids coming in. However, the families that we do have been struggling, as you know, everybody else in the refugee community, just with job loss, with illness, and with the kids being home with the parents.
Right. It's been a roller coaster for everybody, but also legislatively. I mean, this week we all celebrated the news of DACA, the ban on DACA being overturned, but also there's legislation and policies that are being promoted behind the scenes that have made it hard. Can you tell us about some of that work, Sophie, and what you've seen?
Yes, so we've not seen very many children crossing the border or being permitted to enter the United States for the months of April, May, and June thus far. That ban was just extended through the end of July. So we've mainly just been working with the clients that we have had. We're doing a lot of things currently with education. Actually, the nature of our clients is that they're always arriving. So we usually enroll them as they arrive to their families. Since mid-March, all schools have been closed, so there's not been school enrollment, or it's been very, very difficult. We've had to reach out to superintendents and school districts to try to see is there a way to, via email, via online documents, enroll children, because that's a huge part of their lives, is to have access to education.
Right. And I mean, I don't want to bring up some of the hardest stuff, but I know you told me that sometimes when we're deporting children at the border, they're actually being sent back without connections or even informing the families in the countries they came from. Is that correct?
Right. So there's been articles with us as young as 10 years old, kids being deported back to home country. So kids are separated from their parents still at the border. The parents are in detention. Meanwhile, the kids are deported back to home country. And sometimes through luck, they're able to find somebody if they're old enough. You know, they might know the name of an aunt or uncle or be able to reach out to the embassy. But the latest I heard, it was almost 1,500 children that, again, have been separated from parents without connection. Just they call them lost children.
Reinforcing again why your work is so important in your team. We actually expanded since the last election our legal services to make sure that people have a pathway to citizenship, can work on green cards to help these DACA young people. So if anybody is listening as well and knows immigrants that need legal services, please have them reach out to us as well. I could talk to all of you for a long time. I think that refugee and immigrant work is some of the most challenging and interesting and inspiring and heartbreaking. It is all of it. It's also, as I say to young people that are thinking about this field, it's touches on every area of life, as I often say, from living standards to love. You're helping people reunite with loved ones, you're helping people get jobs, you're navigating healthcare systems. So if you're someone that wants to pursue this type of career, I think all of us on this conversation would agree that it can be very rewarding, even when it's challenging, particularly in times like this. So I want to thank all of you and all my colleagues who I have not seen and I deeply miss for your work, particularly on this World Refugee Day. So I wish we could talk more, but I'm gonna have to say goodnight, and I'm gonna welcome our host back to help us wrap up this event.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cheryl, and thank you, Elsie, Yusuf, and Sophie. I really appreciate hearing about the work that you're doing. I'll remind you in the audience, my role at IINE is as the gift processor. So I process the donations. It is an important job at the organization, but my coworkers doing direct services are the ones that are doing the real work. And hearing about the work that they're doing is like the thing that keeps me going all of the time. So I just feel like really lucky whenever I get to hear about the work that they're doing and like how quickly they innovated to be providing services remotely and providing services safely as we're all experiencing COVID-19. So Elsie, Yusuf, Sophie, once again, thank you so much for this. So I want to thank all of you for attending this event and remind you that if you'd like to make a donation, which I would be happy to process with my fingers remotely, still on my computer, you can do that at IINE.org. We have been incredibly grateful and lucky to receive several gifts from individuals and companies, and we are especially honored to have received a project innovation grant from NBC Universal Foundation. Suitcase Stories was selected for this grant by local NBC affiliates here in New England, and this grant is going to allow us to expand the program and feature even more voices. So huge gratitude and huge thanks to NBC for your support. Finally, if you in the audience would like additional access to Suitcase Stories, and I know that you do because they're great, you can become a member of a Suitcase Stories Circle member, say that 3 times quickly, by visiting suitcasestories.org, and that way you'll get access to even more Suitcase Stories. Yeah, once again, thank you for being here, and I hope you enjoyed this event. I hope you enjoyed spending your evening with us, and I hope you have a wonderful night. Bye, everyone.